So let's see if this works. Okay. If it works and no one has any problems, ooh, we can go live on Rockfin. This is awesome. I think we're live on Rockfin. Nice. We're live on Rockfin. So, I was just, so I was just outside at the park talking about God and stuff like that. And the connection kept going in and out. And it was frustrating because we were having such a good conversation and it just like went out. And anyway, so I still wanted to keep talking. Now I'm having guacamole and chips. Nate said, God punish your last stream because of your eating bacon. Anyway, I don't like the way this is. It's not sharing the link to this thing. It's not sharing the link to this actual live stream. So I don't like that. Shalom, Henry. Nate says, God punished your last stream because of you eating bacon. And that could actually be very true. And by the way, if you haven't already, like this video, subscribe to my channel. Please do not downlike it even if the connection is bad, because that will hurt my feelings. And you don't want to hurt my feelings, do you? No, you don't. So, alrighty. How are you doing, Henry? Sir Henry? How is everything going in British land? Where the Brits are mourning I shouldn't joke about this because I haven't been following the news enough, so I don't know what the tone is about the death of Prince Philip. So, oh my gosh, I just saw the news. Bicyclist killed in crash, tweeted just hours about the danger of riding in DC. Whoa, that's so sad. Oh my god. The problem with me doing a live stream from inside is that I have my computer in front of me, so now I can just get distracted by the news. So I don't know if you want that. And let's see, Rockfin. I'm sharing this. Watch me on Rockfin. Alrighty. So, Joe Schmo says, finish the song. It goes, Hashem is here, Hashem is there, Hashem is truly everywhere. Up, up, down, down, right, left, all around. This is a song we sang when I was very, 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 very little. Here, there, everywhere, that's where you can be found. So, okay, so I was in the middle of telling you a story about how I got like really depressed. It was like a few years, and the most recent one, basically, I was like, you know, kind of in one of those mindsets where I can't get myself motivated in the mornings. I'm just like, oh, you know, not depressed, because that's very strong. That's a very strong word, but not motivated. And kind of like falling into this drag. And yesterday I woke up and was like, you know what? Like when I was religious, if I was in this kind of state of mind, I would pray. But now I don't do that because I'm not religious. So what if I do that? So I did that. Like, I prayed the way I would have prayed when I was religious. And I talked to God, and it worked. It worked. So I don't care if there's a God or not. If I pray about things that I care about, it's gonna work. So I'm gonna keep doing it. Ta-da! I don't care what scientist or theologian or whatever you call it says about what is running like the cells and everything, because it literally doesn't matter to me. Does it make a difference in my life? 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 James Michener says, there is no way to know if there is a God, but it doesn't hurt to hedge your bets. Nate says, listen, if this stream fails again, then God clearly wants Pardes to become beautiful and submissive Hasidic wife with 9 kids and an insurance salesman husband. That's so funny, insurance salesman. Why couldn't you recommend the diamond dealer ones? Tell me if I'm crunching too loud. Man Moore says, do you miss California? Do I miss California? I don't know. Some things. I miss that like people kind of take care of themselves. It's not, I mean, that's like kind of, I don't know. People in California are like a little more, I don't think it has anything to do with this, but people in Texas eat a lot of fast food. Like, me included. I've been eating a lot of fast food in Texas. And I don't feel like people in California do that as much. Dove, thank you so much. I missed you too. And like, I missed doing this a lot. And like, it directly correlates with my my emotional state of mind, whether or not I can do these live streams. If I feel good and confident and whatever, I can do it. If not, it's like really hard. It's like pulling teeth. And I feel good today, I think, in large part because I prayed. And I wasn't doing that for the past several months. There are some things that even when I stopped being religious, I still prayed. Like when I came out of the bathroom, I prayed, it's called Asher Yatzar, it's the prayer that it's like, Orthodox prayer of like, the Orthodox Jews pray, every time they come out of the bathroom, and thank you, God, for not making me sick. Whatever. That's the basic summary, like overview. But thanks for my body working and I can go to the bathroom. So I kind of still do that a lot, but I don't really think about it so much. But I like it. Like the things that are like, thanks for waking me up. Thanks for whatever. So I still was doing that habitually, like in my head or very softly. And I just didn't want to pray because then it's like I'm praying to God, and that's like part of religion. And it's like I don't know how to say it, but anyway. But praying is so helpful, and you should do it, like, even if you're not religious. And because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if there's a God or there's not a God. What? There's a lag? Why is there a lag? Oh, man. There's a video audio lag. This is so frustrating when this happens. I get so annoyed. It's like, I worked so hard to come here, turn this camera on, look at the camera, talk or not talk, you know? I worked so hard and now it's lagging. Sucks. Thank you for comforting me. I'm glad it's YouTube's fault, not mine. But I don't know why it's doing this. I mean, I'm on like the best Wi-Fi ever. Joe says, I used to think the same way, but I would say to myself, why do I have to do it their way, why the whole hassle? Just say it in English to myself. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. Like, why do I have to say it in Hebrew? Like, and I get it, it's like better, but I don't care. I'm not gonna say it in Hebrew. Like, I understand Hebrew, but that's not my main language that I think in. I don't think in Hebrew. I don't think in biblical Hebrew. Ike says, what are your thoughts on the origin of the universe / reality? There is a consensus that the universe is not infinite. So what are your takes on what caused the beginning? I think, I don't know. I don't know, honestly. Don't know what causes the beginning of the world. I don't care. I know it's stupid. Stupid not to care. I'm such a girl. I don't know and I don't care. I don't care how the world started. I do care how it will continue, because that it will probably involve my offspring, so I guess I kind of care. I don't really care, actually, how it continues either. Whatever. Ike says uncaused cancer. I don't know what started the world. What started the universe? I don't know. Someone says, I miss Trump's Twitter. I miss Trump's Twitter too. I don't spend so much time on Twitter anymore, honestly. Joe Schmo says, get Rucka on to talk about religious stuff. Yeah, maybe I should. Rucka thinks that I shouldn't, and he's right. He thinks I shouldn't go too much to, like, extreme. I do that a lot. I go very, like, extreme. This is so good. Whoa. These are like spiced walnuts. Never mind, pecans. They're like seasoned pecans. Ike says, would you identify yourself as sort of a nihilist? No, because well, I think I was a nihilist for a while. To me, like, I saw religion as a form of nihilism in a lot of ways, because, like, you know, this world is nothing. There's no point to anything in this world. Like, you know, individualism is, there's no such thing as individualism. You're part of a group. Like, there is no point in the arts and, like, you know, all these things that are, like, earthly. There's no point in not appreciating beauty. Like, that was another thing about religion. Not appreciating beauty or art or, like, anything that, like, was a form of expression. It was like, there's no point to this, there's no point to that. There's just, you know, get married, have babies. You have one purpose, and that is to help the men in your family support God, learn Torah, whatever, and breed. That's your only purpose. For me, for a girl. So yeah, I saw that as like nihilism, because there were people who would learn how to, you know, they'd go to the gym, or they would try to learn how to play a musical instrument, and the feedback that they'd get from like the more religious type people was always negative. What's the point? Going to the gym, that's an earthly thing, going to the gym. What's the point? And I mean, learning a musical instrument, people just didn't do that. Like, it wasn't like you can't, it's just there's no purpose to that, because your purpose is to serve God by doing like X, Y, Z. So everyone is just doing the same exact thing. It's not like you can't play a musical instrument, it's just that like people just didn't. Like me and maybe one or two other kids in my class when I was a lot younger were actually learning how to play instruments. So Ike says that seems like a fundamentalist view of religion that doesn't sound like most people I encounter. Those are the people that I grew up with. That's community I grew up in. And people who grew up any kind of Jewish are going to be very defensive. But the Jewish community is huge, and I grew up in a little tiny bubble of it. But just because my experience doesn't sound like yours, it doesn't mean that it didn't exist. It just means that you probably just grew up in a different community. And yeah, it was very fundamentalist. And I know if you're watching this and you're, you know, it's obviously a spectrum. There's like, it's kind of like a spectrum of people, but the schools I went to, yeah, very fundamentalist, like Zionist, you know, which I kind of get why they were anti-Zionist. I mean, the main reason why they're anti-Zionist is because they don't believe that a secular government should exist in Israel. It should be like a theocracy. Israel should be a theocracy. And they also believe that like the Zionists were corrupt and whatever, the people that came to power. Joe Schmo says, I think Chabad has a better sense of life, disregarding their whole... Dove says, it's weird how different we grew up, and we both grew up in similar communities. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, if you ask my sister, for example, I'm eating... Oh, Joe, thanks. I'm eating pecans. What was I gonna say? I forgot. So, I forgot what I was gonna say. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, if you ask my sister, she'll be like, what are you talking about? Like, there's all kinds of people in the religious community, and it's so easy to be yourself, and the religious community is so like modern and evolved, and there's like, so obviously if you ask different people, they'll tell you different things. This is my experience. This is how I grew up. My relationship with religion. Very restrictive. Very nihilistic. And when I stopped being religious, I continued to be a nihilist, except I stopped calling it religion. Just a different kind of nihilist, where nothing matters, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, basically everything is predetermined and all that stuff. But I think praying is really helpful. Whether or not you're religious, it's really a great tool to keep you on track. You don't even have to pray to God. You can pray to... Is anyone out there? You can, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be the name God. God has many names according to the Old Testament. And I mean, God has made many names according to everyone, but it doesn't have to be like religious. You don't have to be doing it in like a religious or faith way. You can, you know, in your own way, just pray. Because it works. I'm telling you, it works. Like, you know, pray to yourself. You know, but you're not gonna like really believe it if you pray to yourself. It's not gonna work. No, don't pray to yourself. Pray. Ike says, I honestly don't see how they even did that in the Old Testament. Seems like someone or a group can easily take the power and say they speak for God and run the theocracy into the ground. Yeah, I totally agree. And that's what happens all the time. There's always some new rule and new decree in the community that everyone just follows like sheep. You could easily control the ultra-Orthodox community. Like sheep. And I don't want to be a part of it. Sorry, I don't want to be part of it. And like my family is so much fun. They're awesome. But I'm not gonna like subject myself to a bunch of rules made by people I don't trust. Nate says, Pardes, what are your thoughts on Messianic Jews? Are they weirdos? Ike says, I'm curious, how do you discern morality? Is everything fair game? That's a really good question. I don't know. I'm still like figuring it out. I'm still figuring out my, you know, what do I consider moral and what do I not consider moral? Because a few years ago, the things that I would have considered moral or not moral have changed a lot until now. And sometimes I go back and forth between thinking I'm like an evil person, horrible person, because I feel guilty over everything all the time. So just thinking I'm like just bad for this and this and this and this and this, not calling this person, not doing this person, you know, just feeling guilty, mostly towards other people, mostly involving things that have to do with other people. But other times I'm like, oh, you know, I'm making, you know, saying, well, you know, this wasn't bad and this wasn't bad and this. So I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. Joe Schmo says, get Recco to talk about morality. Didn't you hear? The Rub said. So, yeah. I think that people are very, very like absolute when it comes to like a lot of things about the world and morality and religion and everything. And movie in theaters with my friends called The Voyagers, and it was kind of like Lord of the Flies, like a futuristic Lord of the Flies. And I don't want to give it away if you want to watch it, but Lord of the Flies, the whole idea of it is like, you know, what happens when there's no rules? What happens to society without rules? And so people use that as a reason for why we need religion. And, you know, we need like all these very strict rules. And maybe we don't need it to be that intense. Like, you know, I do like having rules. I think that's very important. But I don't like giving so much power to a central figure when people can, like, I think in all areas, moderation is healthy. And usually like somewhere in the middle. And I tend to be very extreme about a lot of things, but usually being kind of centered, like, you know, taking things in moderation, that's probably the healthiest. So, I don't know if I'm making sense. I'm gonna have another chip. I'm not really that hungry. I don't know why I'm eating this. It's just like really good. James says rules need to be enforced, though the less rules the better. I agree. Fewer rules, but the rules that exist should be enforced. Yeah. Although I didn't feel like the rules were enforced growing up. This is really good comment. Joe Schmo says the reason religious folks can't imagine a non-murdering world, if not for God, is because they can't rationalize why murder is bad based off reason. That's like a really strong statement. Also, like, I kind of agree, like, you shouldn't need religion to tell you things that are kind of, like, intuitive to human nature. Like, I do think, like, people should, I don't know. Just ignore me. Charles says, can we invent a religion? Yeah. Let's do that. What should the religion be called? Ike says, reason led to the leader of the Third Reich. Woo! Nate says, I believe in God, but I don't believe in religion. I also support abortion and the death penalty. I don't need religion to tell me how to think. Ike says, are you still on the right or more apolitical? I'm still on the right, but apolitical. I don't know. I haven't really followed politics a lot lately. Probably for the best. That made me so anxious. Politics made me so anxious when I was in DC. Whoa. I have so much anxiety. I used to have panic attacks. And I don't know if it's it was because of politics. Not really. It wasn't because of politics. But, you know, it contributed. And now it's like, in Texas, you can be as right-wing as you want. You can also be left-wing. I mean, there's like all kinds of people, but you can be right-wing. You can wear a MAGA hat. You can talk about God in the streets. Nobody will care. Josh says, were you bullied as a kid? You don't have to answer it too personal. I was like I wasn't really like loserish kid. I really don't like how I was as a kid. I mean, I think I was a cool kid, but I was very socially awkward, and I would get very angry, and I don't know what you consider bullying, but there were kids in my class that thought I was weird, so they would like, during recess, they would just like all stand around me and just like make fun of me. There were like those kids, oh my gosh. They're still awful, by the way. My sister ran into one of them. My sister was in Jerusalem, and there's this one girl, she was so mean to me. They were all like this, but it was like this group that they were like the popular kids, and they just thought I was weird because, I don't know. This didn't happen my whole life. It was just when I was little. And they didn't like beat me or anything or do anything crazy. Just anyway, so they just like, you know, they'd be like, what are you staring at? What are you staring at? Because I had big eyes. And, you know, stuff like that. And you know, I was like kind of, you know, I was a Persian kid. I was very Persian when I was little. Didn't speak English till I was like 6. Came to school with smelly foods. I was taller than everybody as a kid. You know, like all the Ashkenazi kids were small and little. And I was like, you know, big. So stuff like that. I mean, but it was just a couple kids that were like mean. And so my sister was in Jerusalem, and but yeah, the schools I went to, they were like private schools. No, nothing bad happened to you really. They were like, you know, so my sister was in Jerusalem, and she was like dealing with this girl that was just being like, she was like a tenant or something, and apparently the girl was being like really awful, and I was like, oh, is it this person that I went to school with? And she's like, oh, how did you know? And I was like, that girl was in my class. She was awful. So I don't know if I'm making sense, but a lot of people like never change. They just stay the same. If they were awful when they were kids, they're gonna be awful when they're adults. Dove is asking if I went to school with someone wax. We had a lot of waxes at our school. Shira wax. Joe says, if you ever got the whole Dvar Torah on why the whole Hanukkah thing was worse than Haman, is because the Greeks said to follow Torah, but not because God told you to, but because it made sense? Is that sense? Ike says, I used to get bullied, but puberty happened, and now 2 times the size of most of them. Nice. Joe says, do you still talk to Steph? I haven't talked to Steph in a while, but maybe I should. I haven't talked to her, but I miss Steph. I texted, We texted a couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months. I don't know, but I should call her. I should call her, see how she's doing. Josh says, you were a hardcore gangster when you were in school, weren't you? I can totally tell. Yeah, I was very gangster. I was very gangster. And, yeah. I always prayed a lot, and it always worked. Like, I always got whatever I wanted. So, Steph says, yeah, you should totally call me. Pretending to be Steph. So, I'm gonna go now because there's no point in you wasting your day sitting and watching me, because there's really no point in you doing that. Like, there's so many other things you can do with your day. You can go play the piano. You can go running. You can go to the gym. You can go out on the town, get drunk, and hang out with your buddies. Or if you don't have any buddies, you can hang out with your pets. And if you don't have any pets, you can hang out in Walmart. You can go to work. And if you don't have a job, you can if you don't have a job, you can just hang out here and watch this live stream and like the video. You want a piano recital? I would give you a piano recital, but I'm gonna make mistakes. I'll give you a piano recital. I'll give you one on Rockfin because I'm worried about getting copyrighted on YouTube. Maybe I'll do it on YouTube. I'll do it like tomorrow or something. Yeah, we can do a piano recital tomorrow. Sounds good. Rap for us. I wish I knew how to rap because there's not a trap to lap. Ta-da! That's my rap. So, see you later. Nate says, play Beethoven, no copyright strike will happen. For some reason, it just keeps copyright striking me for just playing the piano. And it's like, it's not even like I'm playing somebody else's version. Like, it's my own version of a piece, let's say, that I'm playing, and they copyright strike me. Like, I'll get a strike from Sony. Why would Sony have a strike? Why would Sony have a claim over piano music that I'm playing? How would they even get that? It's crazy. But it's just like some kind of algorithm that lets them do it. So, yeah. See you later.